Hey folks, Zach Grant here. The other day, my son said something to me that stuck with me, and I've probably shared it with a couple of people, but I think I'll share it with you too. Somebody was on the phone with me, and they were asking how things are going amidst all the pandemic stuff, and I said, "Oh, just, the kids are keeping me busy." Just kind of like a throwaway line, just you know, um, But James, who was playing some distance away, he turned to me and he said, "We're not keeping you busy. We're keeping you company." And I said, "Ooh, 3-year-old got me good here." But I did think that that was wisdom. And I think that in this series about becoming disability ministers, and becoming the disability ministry people at your church, I think that this holds a lesson for us. Um, when I started doing disability ministry, just we didn't have a lot of great models around at the time, and so we were just ministering out of our guts. And I remember often thinking, "Is this what I'm doing? Is this ministry? Is this even maybe disability ministry?" It would be things like there was a young man who I developed a relationship with through the local school and the special education classrooms, and he said, "Hey, you should come over. I need some help with my bike." And so I thought, "Oh, maybe I could do this." And so I get there, and he wanted me to. Sorry, my dog is needing to see out that window at this moment, but kids are dogs; it's bound to happen. Um, so I go over to this guy's house, and I think I'm gonna help put a chain back on the sprocket or whatever, and it ends up being some kind of like a motor. Like he wanted me to help adapt his bike to, um, yeah, to drive with a electric motor on it. And I was like, "This is way I could try and help here, and I will definitely ruin this. This is not my skill set." And he accepts that, and he's like, "Okay, well, I got this one other thing that I need help with." And so it ends up that he needs help taking his cat to the vet, and so I'm like, end up like, this cat is not happy, and I think it had broken its leg or something like that, and so I'm like gingerly trying to get this cat out from behind some furniture, and the cat doesn't know me, and nobody else around was willing to like put their hand back there, so this cat is just tearing at my hand. So it's like, "Ah!" And I'm like, in the midst of that, I'm like, is this ministry? Is this time well spent? Um, and I think that it was, and I think that just the very nature of sharing life together, that's ministry. That's part of the gospel life and what Jesus wants to do in the world and bringing people who wouldn't normally be together together. Um, I was just talking with a friend of mine from a ministry that I was involved in some years ago, and this guy was saying, "Boy, you know what I really miss? I miss going to the gas station and getting hot dogs and slushies with you." And I thought, oh, my legacy. All my theological training, all of that. Nobody cares anything for the words of wisdom that come out of my mouth, but a ministry of slushies and hot dogs, people will remember. And in some ways, you kind of feel like, is this ministry? But it really is. It really is just the simple things of being together that make that profound statement that we're together. This is a relationship. And it's not just the things that I did for those guys with disabilities, but also disability ministry is the things that those guys did for me. And I really want to, as you are contemplating becoming the disability ministry person at your church, I want you to think really hard about what the picture of the church is and how people with disabilities fit in it. Because if it's not a picture where everybody belongs, everybody serves, everybody has gifts to give, then I think that we are missing out a little bit. Disability ministry also looked like, when I moved away from St. Augustine, the people that called me up regularly were my friends with disabilities. They called me every day, every week. And when a lot of people might have stopped calling, which is nothing against them. That's just the way society works. You get over things. My friends with disabilities didn't get over our relationship, and the relationship was real, and the way that they showed me was calling, and that nourished my soul in a way. Those were gifts that they had to remember and to continue that nobody else had. All my time in ministry in St. Augustine and in other places, sometimes it did feel like people were keeping me busy, and but the reality is that people were keeping me company. And the point is that my life has been fuller and richer and filled with all these wild, amazing memories. I'm just thinking back to like wrestling that cat out of there, and it's just such a good story for me in so many ways. And just or going with those guys and getting slushies and hot dogs and just walking around downtown, talking about life, talking about Jesus. Those are just full, rich parts of life, and my life would be much poorer without them. And I think that if you embark on something that could be like a disability ministry, you're going to discover that there is this richness in the world that you have been missing out on, that the world has been missing out on, that the world has been shoving off to the side, putting out on the margins. And if it's something that you can embrace, you will find a good place for your gifts, but also you're going to find all of these gifts that will benefit you, will benefit the church, will benefit their community. I think that's part of the gospel life, is that as Jesus is bringing us into relationship with one another, it's not just a kind of a calculus of resource allocation. It's opening up these treasure troves that are laying here among us in the lives of folks with disabilities and in your own life. Thanks.